Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Kings of Anglia podcast. It's Thursday. It's lovely Thursday. It's a lovely Thursday. Snow coming down outside my house. I don't know about yours. Well, so summer must be here. It's welcome, Kings of Anglia family and friends. I hope you're all well. I'm Mike Bacon, La Porca, La Gran Porca, La Porca Lanzi Ladoa. And I'm looking forward to bringing some great KOA action here with my two fellow Kings and friends. They're not just kings, they're friends. I say every time we call them kings, they're friends. I'm looking forward to bringing you we've got lots to talk about today. I can only do the shortest of intros for about 4.5 minutes because really we've got so much to talk about. I don't know where to start. So anyway, let me introduce you to a couple, because we're getting quite regular on here, us three. I mean, it's wonderful, really. I mean, the viewing figures are going through the roof. It's just tremendous. I don't know why this is. Anyway, let me start off with a man who well, I don't want to say, really. I mean, if he's outside Portman Road with his camera, and there he is, and he's inside Portman Road with his camera, then he's running up and down the green zone, orange zone, tiptoes into the red zone, puts a video up, takes it off. We've done all this before, but he's great. He's here and talking to us later on about a great women's Ipswich Town women's game later on this weekend, which is a big one. It's Roscoe at Roscoe Media UK, which doesn't see. Well, I have Mike Bacon, Stuart Watson, and we have at Ross Media UK. Ross Halls, how are you?
I'm very well, always well after those intros. And I want to give you a little insight in my day yesterday. I went to the theatre. Me, Ross Halls went to the theatre.
What did you see?
It was the Only Fools and Horses musical. So it wasn't the Vanderbilt the Opera or anything like that.
Right. It wasn't Madame Butterfly or that. Oh, it's the ballet, isn't it? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was okay. Hey, I've heard that's really good though.
Oh, it was very good. I went with good old Liam from Crewe, so Kings of Anglia listeners will know him. We had a great day at the Haymarket Theatre in London. It was very good. All the characters turned up, all the great lines. And if you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely fully recommend. It's a good watch. And we also had a nice steak. I thought, you know what, I treat myself. We got a nice steak. Yeah. But then I spent 45 minutes, me and Liam, trying to find a dessert place, and we ended up at a Cream's takeaway, and we took it back to London Liverpool Street, and I was disappointed with my waffle. But enough for me. But no, good day all round.
Ross, that is fantastic news. We really did they say you plonker, Rodney? And did you hear plenty of that?
Of course. Plonker, you get shut up your tart and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, mange tout. I like that's my best. But yeah, so I love all those. Oh, that's brought back wonderful memories, Roscoe. Well done. Bear in mind, you were probably only about 1.5 years old when it first came out, or was in the last. I don't know, probably never born at all.
No, I wasn't born.
But fantastic. Well done. Well, that's fantastic. So I was. What a great start to the KOA podcast, friends. To know that Roscoe was at Only Fools and Horses at the theatre. Perhaps it's the beginning, Ross, of perhaps becoming a theatre critic. Perhaps you could take in more shows.
Maybe not. I'll leave it to the experts and people who go to theatre regularly. I don't know if I'll be doing it that often, but we shall see.
Very good, Roscoe. Well, that's Roscoe. He's here with us today. We're looking forward to it. My fellow, my other king here is I call him the king. He is the king, of course. The man who, what can I say? When he writes something down, you read it. You read it and you take it in and you really study it, because this man puts words. When they say the pen is mightier than the sword, this is what this man is all about. It's Stewpot the doctor, Stewpot Watson. Stu, have you covered up your tomatoes, because there was a little bit of a frost last night? I certainly have. And how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, mate. This is my favourite part of the week, a Mike Bacon intro. I think. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm good, thank you. The snow has just started to subside out my window. It was we were getting baked in the sunshine last week at Portman Road on Saturday, and here we are with the prospect of snow for a home game 7 days later. It's crazy weather at the moment, but I'm very well. I'm very intrigued by Ross's love of Only Fools and Horses. Where has that come from, given your age? Is that just something you stumbled across on Gold TV or whatever channel shows it?
It was probably Gold, or it's probably my dad's. I think anybody who likes just comedy, you got a British comedy, you straight away go to Only Fools and Horses. I know Hutchie, for some reason, has never watched Only Fools and Horses, so that's a mark down on his name. He's not watched anything.
We know that he hasn't watched any classic film. He hasn't watched it. I tell you what he has done, though. You mentioned the ballet in there. Andy Warren is partial to a bit of the ballet. Ask him about that next time he's back. The old culture vulture. But yeah, I'm good. I'm cold. The heating is on ridiculously, but I'm good to go.
That's good. You never answered your question about covering up your tomatoes.
My tomatoes are uncovered. I have no tomatoes. There's no produce being grown in the Watson household at the moment.
Don't you have a little area where you plant? I like plant a few carrots and things. It's always nice. My son once planted a load of potatoes. The thing about it is, he didn't tell me he'd done it. And when they all started sprouting when he's back at university, and there I was with these things sprouting out of the ground. You've got to be a bit self-sufficient these days, Stu Pod. It doesn't really hurt, but you have to watch this weather. It can catch you out. But anyway, well, look, yes, it's very cold. It's been a bit snowy and all this sort of stuff. But we're here. We're gonna warm you up with some cracking Ipswich Town talk. Ipswich Town, we're still in the playoff hunt. Yes, Roscoe, you can turn your nose up if you like. We're still in the playoff hunt. Cambridge United here on Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Lots been going on at the club. Lots of very exciting stuff been going on at the club. Good times at the moment. Great positivity around Portman Road. And why not, quite frankly? It's been fantastic. So lots of good news coming out. None more so than season tickets and the fans forum this week, of course, that I know a lot of people went to and probably even more saw online, which was very good. Stu, you've had a good study of the fans forum and what was said. I believe Andy Rolls, Mark Ashton, and of course Kieran McKenna were there, which was great. Well, a few thoughts, Stu. Did you enjoy listening to it and seeing it and watching it and all the rest of it?
I did, yeah. What a fantastic addition these fan forums have been this season. We've obviously always had the Supporters Club AGM once a year where they've had a similar format with key figures from the club on a panel, and it's a great chance for supporters to put their questions directly to the people at the top of the football club. But these fans forums have made it that much more regular. This was the third one. We had one back in the summer, one in November, and then this one last night. Ed Schwartz, one of the American owners, was over last time. This time, as you say, it was Andy Rolls, Director of Performance, sat alongside Mark Ashton, and of course Kieran McKenna making his debut at one of these events. And it was a thoroughly enjoyable 90 minutes, 150 or so supporters there in person at the Sir Bobby Robson Suite, and as you say, plenty more watching it on a live stream remotely as well. And it was impossible to come away from it not feeling enthused and positive about everything on and off the field going forwards.
I mean, certainly. I mean, Ross, I don't know if you've seen much of it or read much of it, but no, you haven't. No, well, there you go. But if you had, I mean, for fans though, Ross, in all seriousness, it's great, isn't it, that they can have this connection with key figures and ask them questions, because and it doesn't matter if your question's like, why are the pies cold, or why don't I get any mash in the press room? It doesn't really matter. The fact is, you can get some really, you can just get to talk to them, which is so important for fans.
Yeah, it's a chance for them to get, a platform to ask some questions. Of course, some of them are a little bit stupid. No offense to those people who ask about ball girls and ball boys. That's what I read somewhere online. But yeah, it's a nice opportunity, and just to even just meet Kieran McKenna and Mark Ashton and Andy Rolls in the flesh. I'm sure I've seen a few of the Kings of Anglia army, having posted some selfies with some of the guys. So it's nice that they're getting an opportunity to ask a question and get some more insight on what they already get. So yeah, I think these events are fantastic.
I think season tickets are quite key, Stu, aren't they? And they've been a key thing this week. They put out that they're going to be available last week, and and it was interesting what Mark Ashton said about it's not so much the sudden influx of people, suddenly wanting their season tickets again, but new people coming on board. This is the holy grail. It's new people. It's not just flogging the same amount at frozen prices to the same ones who've got it this season already. And he said something like 41% of the first 2,000 were new people, either or returning people to the club. I mean, great news.
Yeah, exactly that. He said within the first 36 hours of them going on sale, 2,000 season tickets sold, and as you say, 41% of which are new, or possibly people coming back. So obviously there's been a slow decline of people sort of walking away from season tickets over the years, and I think it's obviously piqued their interest. What's going on here at Ipswich Town at the moment? Think, yeah, I'll get back on this train. This sounds all very positive. So approaching 24,000 for the game against Cambridge on Saturday. That'll be the 10th home game in a row where they've had a 20,000 plus crowd. Exciting times, and Mark Ashton wants more. He's saying, this is great, but you might think I'm mad, but I think we should be averaging 28,000 crowds here. And it's been, I don't know if Ipswich have ever done that, but when he starts talking about the population of Suffolk being 750,000, and then you go into North Essex and that patch gets bigger, then why can't you get those sort of crowds? If everything else around the club is going well, then that ambition is big there for the attendances to come in. And of course, every pound through the gate is going to make a difference to what Ipswich can do in terms of strengthening the team as well. So yes, that was exciting to hear. But there were so many topics covered over the course of the night. I don't know which ones you want to dip into. We talked about Tyrese Simpson pre-season plans, the Ed Sheeran sponsorship, Adidas, etc. McKenna, his long-term future, the transfer window set pieces, everything was under discussion that night. So plenty of good stuff to come out of it.
Did anything what of all those things you've just mentioned, Stu? Is there one that sort of did to sort of gather your interest? I mean, the Tyrese Simpson thing was quite interesting, I thought.
Well, on a personal level, the pre-season plans was interesting because Andy and I were thinking, yes, finally we'll get to go away for a nice little pre-season week. It was a little bit of here's what you could have won. Kieran McKenna was desperate to get himself over to the Austrian mountains for an energised pre-season, but the powers that be say no. Andy Rolls said no. COVID situation, Ukraine, everything that's going on in the world, it's probably best we stay in the UK. So there'll be no pre-season tour for us or the players this summer. The Tyrese Simpson one was interesting. I feel like we're not getting... I think there's been so much said about this situation now, and we're still only getting bits and pieces of the situation. I feel like it'd almost be better that there's just complete transparency from everybody involved here, just so we know where we stand. Mark Ashton said, this football club won't be agent-led. If we don't show strength, we will get walked over. So that's his point of view. I saw Tyrese Simpson tweeted rather cryptically later in the night, I'm not injured. I don't think anyone had been trying to say he was injured. The club had obviously said he had a little knock a week or so ago, but McKenna was quite clear on the night at the fans forum that he's back in training. He's training with the first team, but we've got lots of senior strikers ahead of him, and it's up to him to kind of get himself in. But it's got a bit messy, that situation, hasn't it, over the last 6 months, which has been sad to see given the development that he had in the first half of the season.
Well, do you agree, Ross? Because I think I do. I mean, he was doing so well at Swindon, make the name for himself, getting himself in the headlines. He was still an Ipswich Town player. I mean, he's an Ipswich Town player, remember? So it didn't really matter. It was all good for us. And this is when this is. How do fans sit? I mean, would fans like to see Simpson be given a chance? I suppose quite a few would like to at least see him on the bench.
Yeah, I think definitely on the bench. I think everyone was surprised when they saw him getting recalled after his amazing spell at Swindon. I think a lot of fans knew he's out of contract in the summer, so maybe they're like, maybe they're bringing him back just to sort that out. And which is, what's actually happened is he's come back because they're trying to sort out the contract. But when you have a young player going out on loan and really, really proving themselves at a level, you want them to be there for the rest of the season. Luke Wolflin's done it. Flynn Downs has done it in the past. So now he's just sitting on, on 23s. It sounds like he is, in training with the first team, but he hasn't played a competitive game since he was at Swindon, which is a shame because that development he's now missing out on. But we shall see. Maybe he will feature at the end of this season, and maybe he gets the opportunity to show what he can do.
This is it, isn't it? I mean, Ipswich, we're still talking, you said right at the very start, Ipswich are still in a playoff hunt, a slim chance, but it's not over yet. And while there is still that chance, you want to be going with your most, or your strongest, or certainly your best on paper chance of doing that. Now's not the time for me to be kind of sort of bringing Tyrese Simpson in at the moment. I just don't, that may well happen. The Simpsons and the Humphreys and the Chirewas might well come into the fold over these final few games. From what I gather, they were all involved with first team training this week and have all done pretty well. But give it another fortnight or so, and maybe we'll start to see one or two of them on the bench. But as supporters, can we get a bit guilty sometimes of sort of bigging up players a bit too much? Tyrese Simpson has gone out on loan. He's had half a season in League Two and done very well. But all of a sudden, does that make him better than Joe Pigott? Does that make him better than James Norwood, than Macaulay Bonne? No, not yet. It doesn't. So I can see this from both sides of the coin here. Tyrese Simpson will have seen what other young players that have done less than him on loan, see what sort of money they're on and thinking, I want to be on the same. Ipswich, Mark Ashton is now trying to come in and say, no, I want a bit more of a set level for young players on contracts at this football club. So it's a bit of a line in the sand for the club. We'll see how that one develops. Obviously, we all hope ultimately it ends with Tyrese Simpson staying and being a success at the club. So we'll see.
I think you're right, Stu. This is not the time to suddenly start blooding players who've hardly had any first team experience at Portman Road. That while there's a chance, you go with your strongest side, as you rightly say. So there you go. But lots was covered at the fans forum, as you say, Stu, and or as I said, and then you agreed with me, Stu. So we both agreed with each other there, which was nice because we don't often agree, and we were going to ask Ross, but he didn't see it, so we can't really ask him. But anyway, Sam Morsy. Now Sam Morsy's been getting a lot of. I seem to have been writing Sam Morsy headlines all week for the last certainly 10 days. Well, I haven't. You have as well, Stu. We've been writing a lot about Sam Morsy. He won the Player of the Month for March at Portman Road. Not really a big surprise. His performance against Plymouth last night we talked a lot about. I've written an article going online later today, Thursday, about his relationship with McKenna, and he's also talked about his relationship with McKenna. Sam Morsy, Stu, he's becoming quite a significant player in this football club, isn't he? Apart from that, he's a captain and a fine player. Won the Player of the Month. Things going good for him right now.
Yeah, Sam Morsy won it with 38% of the vote. Obviously scored the winner against Plymouth last weekend. We waxed lyrical about him in the first podcast of the week. That came after his goal against Fleetwood earlier in the month. I think he set up one of the goals against Lincoln as well. So I can see why Sam Morsy would win it. But there were plenty of other contenders in March for Ipswich. Burgess came second with 30% of the vote. A real nod to him coming in and looking so solid in the absence of George Edmondson for the last 3 games. And then Selina and Burns on a very similar amount of the vote after that. I have to say, I'd probably have edged Sam Morsy just in that vote, but Bursant Selina would have run him very, very close for me. Ipswich scored 6 goals in March, and Bursant Selina had a hand in all of them. Not necessarily the goal or the assist, but certainly played a very big part with a key or killer pass in the build-up to all those goals. I think he's really starting to hit form at the right time, Bursant Selina.
You agree with that, Ross Gus? I'm sure you do.
I do indeed. Sam Morsy's been fantastic. I know he's had a few little niggles here and there. Of course, he didn't play at all really against Pompey. He came off, I think it was the 20th minute. But then when he came on against Oxford, he changed the game. And he's now scored 2 goals this month. And of course, we've been waiting for that goal so long, and he finally gets 2 in the same month. So I think well deserved, but I think give a shout out to Cameron Burgess because I think he's been fantastic since coming in for Edmondson.
Burgess has done really well, hasn't he? I must confess. I mean, everyone was a little bit sort of knee jerky about Edmondson getting injured, Ross. But yeah, I mean, Burgess has done well.
He has, and I think some fans are thinking, oh, is he going to be able to come in? He from I wouldn't say he's come out from the cold because he's just not been able to play because the back three has been fantastic. But for him to come in, settle well, and just the defence in a whole, the defence has been fantastic this month because we're not conceded a goal. So that's another player that team performance of the month is that defence, which has just been fantastic.
Absolutely, coming out of the cold. A very apt phrase, Roscoe, as the snow continues to fall down outside my window, coming out of the cold, coming in from the cold. Very good. Was that a deliberate sort of link there?
Yes, we'll take that. Yeah.
Good. Excellent work. Right. Anyway, Stu. Now there was a big story this week, young Stu. That I call you young Stu, of course, because you're obviously younger than me by a considerable margin. I mean, obviously the Heath monster wouldn't call you young Stu, would he? And nor they were, but I do. Big story this week about Mr. Ipswich Town and Sam Williams, head of recruitment. Is it from Manchester United? Big story you broke earlier this week. It wasn't earlier this week. It was yesterday, wasn't it, Stuart? I can't remember. It was a Wednesday. The time flies by when you're having such fun with Ipswich. You don't know what day of the week it is. But this is a major story, Stu, that you managed to get hold of and broke, which is fantastic. And the club obviously confirmed it a few hours later, which is. There is a rather funny side story to the guy on Twitter called Sam Williams, who's an Ipswich Town fan, who apparently has got a lot of traffic after the announcement, which he gamely went along with for a while. But that's another story. Stu, go on then. Tell us the thing about Sam Williams and the and recruitment. What a coup for Ipswich Town to get him.
Yeah, Sam Williams. Don't know his exact age, but I think he'll be in his 30s. Looking at his CV there or thereabouts. So he's been the first team recruitment analyst at Manchester United for the last 3 years. He had a previous role as academy scout there, which he's had that role at places like Bolton and Sheffield Wednesday previously, and obviously follows Kieran McKenna and Martin Pert across from Old Trafford. From what I gather, it's more of a club appointment than it has been a sort of McKenna appointment. I don't know how closely McKenna will have worked with him. He'll have known of Sam. He'll have crossed paths with him a little bit. But I think this came more from Mark Ashton speaking to a guy called Mick Court, who is the chief scout at Manchester United. And as always, with a lot of these transfers and a lot of these moves, if you dig deep enough, you can find a bit of a crossover in the careers. You can join the dots. And Mick Court, who I've just mentioned, was the head of recruitment at Oxford when Mark Ashton was working there. So there's some links with Ashton, O'Leary, Pert, lots of little crossovers. So he came with high recommendations. They've been looking for a long time to fill this role. If you remember when Andy and I did, I think, our first podcast with Mark Ashton back last summer, he talked about having no real recruitment team during that summer where they had to sign 19 players and that would change. I think he was hoping that this would have all been in place by the time the January window came around. It wasn't, because they wanted to take their time and get the right man. And they're convinced that in Sam Williams, they have done. So another member of this ever-growing backroom team that Ashton wants to kind of work in a really joined up way as we head towards another big summer for Ipswich Town.
What are your thoughts, Ross? I mean, I know fans are often interested in players and stuff, but I think a lot of fans we don't give enough credit. They're really interested in this type of backroom staff. But good people coming from big clubs. I mean, just to get people from Manchester United, it's no joke, is it? I mean, it's fantastic news.
It is. It's like another level. I think a lot of fans always wondered what is our recruitment, department, because we've in recent transfer windows we just used to just signed sometimes nobodies or veterans of the game, but hopefully this guy, he will find the next Jamie Vardy or something like that, just somebody who can no one else would have seen. And I heard that we could be scouting abroad and all that, which is great to see. But I think fans are always interested in this sort of signing because it's something new, and hopefully at the moment this growing behind the scenes sort of staff is great to see. And hopefully we see his good work in the summer, recruiting the next Wes Burns or something like that to improve his squad further.
Because Mark Ash was quite keen on talking about world class, wasn't he, Stuart? That fans for on world class. We're getting world class individuals on board here with, and I think Kieran McKenna laughed about Sam's contact books and said it's huge. But like your contact book, Stu, your contact book is very, very extraordinarily big, far bigger than mine. I mean, I must confess, you've got a strong contacts book, haven't you?
It's built over the years. Yeah, he was talking about Martin Pert with that contacts book. Actually, Kieran McKenna's spoken a lot about him. Martin Pert, I think if anyone's looked into his background, he's had a fascinating journey to this point. He's He spent time in America working with NBA basketball sides. He's travelled South America and gone to meet Bielsa at his house, and he's worked at all different levels of the pyramid in this country. So they talk about Martin Pert having a really good contacts book in Europe, in South America, across this country. And McKenna sort of joked that somehow Martin finds time to make 50 phone calls a day, whereas I can only just about find time to speak to my family on the phone in amongst everything else that we're doing. So they will all work very closely together. And the idea is it will all sort of funnel together, and using Mark Ashton's data dashboard, it will be a combination of data and software scouting, which is becoming more and more prevalent, obviously, in the game, but also combined with the old school scouting, getting out to games, trusting the eye, a mixture of the objective and subjective, as Mark Ashton has called it, to hopefully level up this Ipswich Town squad once again. So, yes, it won't be as busy as summer for Ipswich Town as last. It certainly doesn't need a huge overhaul, but there are some areas that will need looking at in this team. I think McKenna's got himself in a really good position after January, where he's cut the numbers down. He's focused on improving what he's got, and now he's hopefully got a bit of latitude and a bit of leeway to add another sprinkling of quality to it when the window opens again.
Well, look, the fans forum was certainly something we all very much enjoyed, and I know a lot of fans who says that's just terrific. It was a great evening, lots to discuss. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this the KOA podcast here as we plod through. I'm just looking at my window. The snow seems to be snow's piling down, and all earth's going on here. I mean, it's supposed to be Speedway tonight, and it's no, it can't. Well, earth's going. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. Right now, Stu. We've got a mailbag. This is midweek mailbag, but it's not midweek, it's Thursday. So it's just after midweek mailbag. And I like a little jingle, really. I could sing a little jingle to it, but I don't think I will. Stu, mailbag man, you are like Mr. Postman. Remember that? The Carpenters? No, you don't. Anyway, yeah. So you do remember it?
Stop. Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Beautiful. Is that the one?
That's the one. Yes, Mr. Postman. Ross, you've never heard that one, have you?
I've heard Postman Pat, but yeah, move on.
Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Yeah, lovely. Yeah. I used to have a little ginger cat, to be honest. Unfortunately, passed away last year. His name was Pikachu. Oh. Yes, I'm sorry. I just bring him to sort of. I hope you don't all get a bit upset, KOA fans. But I mean, he was an old cat, so we do miss him. Anyway, back to the mailbag, Stu.
Is this the cat that you would regularly tell me that you would sort of banish outside? And then your wife was sort of defending your cat, and you'd say that it was really annoying, and you'd basically sort of stick it outside in the garden because it was making too much noise. Was that Pikachu?
That's the one. And I feel obviously terribly guilty now that I used to put him outside in the snow and the rain because he used to annoy him, because he used to meow a lot. And yeah, like today, if it was snowing, I would say, if he started meowing, I'd say, look, come on, out you go. And my wife would come home and...
I'm not saying you've gone full Kurt Zuma here, but I'm just saying that maybe your wife was more keen on the cat than you. That's always the vibe I used to get.
Yeah, I did like him because he had quite a cool name. Pikachu was quite a cool name. And when you went out in the garden saying Pikachu, that was quite a cool name. But yes, anyway, he's passed. Have you got any cats, Ross? You don't have got a cat, have you?
No.
Have you got any pets, just out of interest, before we get onto the mailbag?
No, me and my missus want a dog, but we have to move to a different house before that happens. But no pets in this household.
No. Stu, are you a pet man?
Nope.
No pets. Right. Okay. That's solved that then. Right, Stu, we put out a little word for the mailbag. We've got some questions in from fans.
Hold on.
Oh, hello.
Mailbag. It's time for Mike, Stu, and Ross to dip into the mailbag. Doot. There we go. Give it its full jingle.
Beautiful.
Do you want some?
Beautiful. I want some? Yes, we'll have some. Come on, we'll have some.
Right, let's get on with it. Nigel G. I may as well do it because we haven't done it for ages. Friend of the show. Number 1, possibly. Haven't heard from Nigel G for a while. Hi, Nigel. I think Andy at this point would say something about his fish. It's a bass or something. I can't remember what the catchphrase is. Anyway, I digress. Nigel asks, with a big screen being installed at Portman Road this summer, what would your top 5 highlights from this season be that you would play on said big screen next season? Can we come up with 5 between us?
Can I start with the most fairly obvious one? Was it Selena's winner against? Was it Fleetwood? Crew,
I think it was, wasn't it?
When was it Brett Johnson? Was it Brett Johnson was over? Was that
Fleetwood? That was a Fleetwood game.
Oh, the last minute. The last minute where it erupted the stadium into pandemonium. There wasn't there, Ross? I mean, even you sort of. I remember you fell off your seat, didn't you? It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I jumped into the crowd and all that. But yeah, that was unbelievable scenes. And we hadn't had many late winners this season because we draw games mostly. But no, when that went in and you look up and saw those pictures of Brett Johnson celebrating, that was unbelievable moment for him. His first ever game at Portman Road, and he goes and see a late winner with a good crowd as well. So that is definitely got to be the first highlight on that screen.
Good. Go on then, Ross. You've got to have 1 or 2 more.
Well, I won't steal Stu's thunder with Selena's goal against Crew, but I'm going to go Macaulay Bond's magic against Sheffield Wednesday. When he was, he's behind you, and then that's a great moment. That's on the stadium now.
Yes, now fans. Yes, that's interesting. That because around the stadium they've got all the iconic moments of the past history of Ipswich Town, which are brilliant. It's been done, and of course Macaulay Bond, he's behind you, is up there, which quite right too. I like seeing that being brought up to date because if you're not careful, all those great historic moments, which are fantastic, of course, that's all. It's nice to have a real up to date one, and that one being up there is brilliant. Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Have you got any away games, Stu? Because you got all the away games. Is there any away game memories?
I guess the games at Portsmouth and Wickham would have to be in the mix, wouldn't they? You'd have to have some highlights from one of those 2 games, big wins on the road. It feels like these need to be probably a bit more McKenna based, I would say, for next season. The big win at Gillingham when McKenna first arrived, but you want moments, don't you? You want big rousing moments of commentary of, like you say, Brenner calling a last gasp winner, things like that. So the Selena Chip v Crew's got to be in there. I think home games as well. I think you're at Portman Road, you want to be reminded of big moments in front of big crowds. So that one would have to be in there. Hopefully in this list of 5, 1 or 2 are still to come over these next 6 games, three of which are at home. But really looking forward to seeing the big screen as an addition to Portman Road. I think that can really help build an atmosphere before a game. And I'm sure not only will there be highlights from this season, but they need to put together a really good, slick montage of everything over the years, going back to the glory years, making sure that there's plenty of modern day stuff as well as the old stuff as well. But it's going to be good.
Good. Well, I think we've done well there answering Nigel's question, haven't we, Stu? Because we didn't think we wondered if we'd think of 5, didn't we? We're all sitting here. When you said 5, we thought, because you're obsessed with 5, aren't you? 5 Stu's, 5's observations, 5 this, 5 that. And I thought, oh no, Nigel's asked for 5 now. And are we going to be able to think of 5? But we've thought of like 6, which is brilliant, really.
Well, I think officially we got to 3, Mike. But
did we? Sorry,
that's fine. Let's move on. Let's keep mailbag chugging along. Lee asks, I don't know why he's left young pup Ross out of this. He says maybe not one for Ross, but have you ever been as optimistic about the future of the club? Maybe he's thinking that Ross is a given because Ross has probably never seen any good times before. But have you ever felt as optimistic about the future of the club on and off the pitch?
Me? I suppose I could say, well, bear in mind I go back some time, so I've seen lots of optimistic moments. I would say, why not? I feel quite optimistic about it. I think we've gone down a completely new path. We've been going down the same old road, and we've literally stopped in the road and go, do you know what? We're going to go this way now. We're going to turn left or turn right. We're going to a completely different way of doing things especially with Kieran McKenna. That's obviously been a decision that's been made. I mean, clearly that the atmosphere, the way that there's a lot going on at the club, and people speaking with positivity. We're getting good recruitment people in. We've got some strong characters off the pitch as well as on the pitch. Yeah, why not? I mean, obviously, I was lucky enough to the Robson eras and take my little milk crate and box and stand and watch Barcelona. We've been through all this before. And, George Burley's era was fantastic, but so was John Lyles and Joe Royal. Joe Royal had some very positive years. But this, after our decade, Stu, of what has been pretty mediocre. This feels good.
I think, Ross, you go back as a fan. I mean, the Marcus Evans takeover, there must have been a similar feeling of optimism that this is takeoff and people waving money about in the stands, and that there was a real feeling of optimism then, wasn't there? I'm not wishing to compare the two and put a dampener on things, but there have been moments of optimism in that, not just you don't have to go right back to the glory years. There have been moments in the past of feel good factor, haven't there?
Yeah, when Roy Keane got appointed, and I think a lot of people are excited because it's Roy Keane, and I know there's even Man United, fans who are probably thinking, "Oh, they're going to go and check out how we're going to get on." We all know what happened there. Even, when Paul Hurst came in, that was something new, a different direction, a young upcoming coach. Unfortunately, we know what happened there. And then even the first League One season, I think we were thinking, all right, then, big Ipswich Town in League One, we're going to smash everybody, and that's what we did at the start of the season. But we all know what happened there. But no, it's just nice, just fresh look at, just look forward to next season. But there's been moments in my fandom at the club where I've been excited. I always get excited for a new season. When you're pre-season, a few new signings coming in, you always look forward to another season. That's definitely after a 2-month break, on the off season. But no, I think this summer is going to be very different, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's the hope that kills you. That's the great thing about football. You get the big reset every summer, and you can always convince yourself this year could be our year. But as I keep saying, there does feel like there's more substance behind it now, doesn't there? It's not just maybe a manager can put together a team. It's everything that underpins it as well. It's the transparency. It's the from the main guys. It's the money that underpins it all. It's Kieran McKenna and what he's done so far. So for me, it's an easy one. No, I haven't felt this optimistic about Ipswich Town in my 10, 12 years covering the club. No, easily the most optimistic I've been, I have to say. What else have we got? Now, FPL Switch asks, this is a question for the GOAT, the one and only Mike Bacon, who should be on all KOA pods going forwards.
Well, yes. Well, you have to tell Mr. Heath that, but it's a financial thing, isn't it? I don't. Sadly, well, I better not talk about it really, but
we will not be. This podcast will not be agent led. Okay, we will not be. We will not be walked over. And I'm afraid Mike's appearance fee is just getting ridiculous now. I mean, it's been needs must the last fortnight with Mike and Andy away, but that's that. Which of this is a question specifically for you, Mike. Which of the current loan players would you keep, and what do you think is Dobra's future? Over to you.
Current loan players I would keep. Right. Throw me a couple of loan players. So Dominic Thompson. Thompson's on loan, isn't he?
Dominic Thompson.
Dominic Thompson.
Yeah.
Dominic Thompson.
He's on loan. Yeah. Would you keep him?
Yep, I would actually. I think there's some potential in that boy. I really do. Macaulay. Sadly, as much as I love him, there's a great guy. I've got a feeling I probably wouldn't. And as regards, what's the second part of that question? Dobra.
What about Selena's a...
Well, Selena's right. Yeah, I was going to say we're going to go through all of them. I mean, Selena obviously is an obvious one. You want to keep Selena.
Backinson, keeping him?
No.
Okay, and Dobra, what's his future?
Well, Dobra, I'd like to see him back at Ipswich personally. I think the lad deserves an opportunity to show. I think he's feisty. He's quick. I think coached under McKenna, he could be quite an interesting asset back at the club. I don't know what's gone on at Colchester with him. I mean, he hasn't played a lot recently. I don't know if he's injured or whatever. It just hasn't. Again, playing in a struggling side, which Colchester has been, unfortunately. I've had a bit of a difficult season. Not great. So he hasn't had the opportunities which he should have been given. I'd like to see Dobra back at this football club being coached. He's got Wes Burns standing there, an absolute, a guy a few years older than him, a great someone he can learn from. Get Dobra back. They would be. Anyone else, Roscoe, on loan who I should keep? Who do you think I should keep or not keep? Who else? Who else is there that?
Who else is on loan?
I'm not talking about the ones that are out on loan because we've talked about them. But a lot of them are.
Yeah,
I think we've covered the.
Yeah, we've covered that. It's the ones who are here now, isn't it?
I'd be surprised. from what I gather, I'm not sure that Dobra's future is going to be at Ipswich Town. I think he would like it to be, but I think they'd be trying to, given that he's not featuring for Colchester at the moment, I think he'd be back and training with the first team and then them having a look at him. But from what I gather, that's just not happening at the moment. So we'll see what happens on that one.
Who was that from? Who was that from? That question?
FPL Switch.
FPL Switch. Thank you, FPL Switch, for your kind words. It's very, very good, and I'll be able to set up negotiations immediately after this show because of little tweets like that. Thank you.
Well, this next question might be one for you to tackle as well.
Another one.
Mike the Goat Bacon. Ben Morris. This is Speedway related. Speedway starts tonight. Mike, you say it starts tonight. We've had a bit of snow. Yeah. Mike's got a pretty sweet gig with the Speedway, if I do say so, because he starts a Thursday and goes, I can only do a little bit of work this morning, and then I've got to work later, so I can't do anything for the rest of the day. Fair enough. It's been rained off. The track's too cold at about 6 p.m. Bags himself a nice little half day.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet gig. And it looks like that we're going to start as we mean to go on with a call off on the first night of the season. Who are they riding tonight? What's the meeting?
They're riding Kings Lynn tonight, Stu. Kings Suffolk Norfolk Derby. So we all have a Suffolk Norfolk Derby. So we hope we will put the forecast this afternoon is actually quite nice, Stu. So before you Ipswich Speedway phone me up and say thanks very much for promoting the meetings off, I better just say that its forecast is good for this afternoon. It's going to dry out, but it's on, and it's going to be rather cold, isn't it? I'm going to need my extremely large woolly hat. But what's Ben saying?
Ben says, obviously, with the Speedway starting tonight, he says you can choose 7 Ipswich Town players, past and present, to make up a fictional witches team, plus a manager. Who are they? So, who would be good Speedway riders?
Well, Speedway riders, of course, Speedway riders are not very tall. I mean, let's put it this way: I'm about 5'8", 5'7", 5'7"ish, and I'm one of the tallest in the team photograph. So they're not very tall. So if you can think of fairly shortish Ipswich Town footballers over the past,
J-Tab, he's in.
J-Tab is in. I think Connor Chaplin's not the tallest. I think he'd make a good Speedway rider because he looks like he's quite on it all the time.
Yeah, and brave as well. I think
brave,
got brave and fearless. So
fearless.
Who else?
Eric Gates back in the day. You won't remember him, will you, Roscoe? Have you Roscoe, heard of Eric Gates?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Good player back in his day.
Very good player. He'd make a good Speedway rider. Who else can I think of? Well, I know Richard Wright likes Speedway a lot. Now, there's a little one for you. Richard Wright, when he's at Manchester, he goes up to Bellevue. I've been to Bellevue Speedway in Manchester and met Wrighty up there when he's come across to when he knew Ipswich were riding up there. We used to meet up and say hello. So Richard Wright, but definitely made a good Speedway rider. Not quite sure about that. Any other smallish Ipswich Town?
I'll put someone forward as the manager of this Speedway team. I'm going to go for Paul Cook because my limited knowledge of Speedway, there's a lot of chopping and changing that goes on throughout the season. Someone has a bad ride, their average drops, they're out. It's ruthless, isn't it? Sorry, you're cut, we're bringing someone else in. Paul Cook's all over that. Yeah. You're not delivering for me, you're gone. Cook's demolition man throughout the whole course. And he's going to talk with the sort of the passion and enthusiasm of a fan that I think the Speedway fans are really going to buy into. So Paul Cook's going to be the manager of this fictional witches team. We just need a few more riders. I don't know if there's any.
The Ipswich Witches actually, their sponsor rider is Macaulay Bonne. Did you know that? That Macaulay Bonne is actually sponsored by, or is their supporting player? Macaulay was up there a couple of times last season. Bit tall, I think, for a Speedway rider, Macaulay Bonne, though. Ross, I don't know what you think. Ross, you've been up to Speedway a bit. You got one any you could throw in there?
Maybe a current player, Connor Chaplin.
Yes, he's the one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry, why do you have to be short to do Speedway?
You don't have to be short, but it seems to attract not that tall people. I don't know what it is. I think it's to do probably aerodynamics, Stu. You know, it's like having a full head of hair or no hair. You know, aerodynamics as you're flying down the back straight, with things, I mean, Wes Burns would be a nightmare. His hair would be all over the place. And I suppose he'd have to have a crash helmet on, to be fair. But if he didn't have one on, he'd be flying. I mean, he'd be held back, you see. So there's not been many very tall speedway. Michael Lee was one of the most tall Speedway riders you'll find. He was 6 foot, but there's not been many. So I don't know why. It's just the way it is. Just look at the team photograph.
I've got another one here because we've got a lot of Australians in our ranks at Ipswich Speedway Witches. So
Yes.
I'm going to go with Tommy Orr, who played very briefly. He's Australian, very briefly at Town, but bringing the Australian mix in from a former Town player. So Tommy Orr, and he's 5'7". So
Perfect.
there we go.
Right,
Perfect.
Tommy's in. I think
Tommy's
James Norwood would have the sort of there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity in Speedway. I think these guys they're a different breed that are putting their bodies on the line. I think James Norwood would be borderline reckless that could bring a bit to the Speedway party as well. So we'll chuck him in. I think we've probably got to about 7 there. Tommy was a great shout, Ross. I like that. You've always got to have an Aussie in there.
Thank you, Ben, for that. Excellent question, my friend.
The Poles like a bit of Speedway as well, don't they?
Oh,
Maybe we could
Poles love it.
get Big Peter Malachik, who was who had a bit of a rough time at Ipswich under Mick McCarthy. You may or may not remember. Get him in as well.
Yeah.
We got time for a few more. How are we doing?
Oh yes, do another one or two, Stu. I think
Okay.
the mailbag is going well.
There was one here. I apologise because I haven't got your name written down on this piece of paper, but there was one. It says if you could sign one player from each of the top 3 divisions this summer for Ipswich Town, who would it be? So you can get one from the Premier League, one from the Championship, one from League One. I assume that money is no object here. Let's just say that this is complete fantasy, and we can take whoever we want. Who are you going for? Premier League, you can take one player. Who are you taking?
I'll tell you who I'm going to take, who you might think is a bit strange, and he's by far and away not the most expensive player in the league, but he's my favourite Premier League player, Wilfred Zaha. There you go.
Okay.
Go on, Ross. You can think of a Premier League player.
We need a striker, don't we? Really.
This is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking 3 players. I'm thinking what 3 positions do you want? Striker, left-sider, and a central midfielder, possibly. That's probably immediately what my logic is thinking. So yeah, striker's your golden position, isn't it? So we got to be taking our striker from the Prem. Who you having, Ross?
I'm very torn now. Like Ivan Toney, I like him at Brentford. I think that is a doable signing. But then also like Macau Antonio is just a great character, and he's what a career he's had. He's had to go through some of the lows, and then he's gone up the leagues, and he's now scoring for fun for West Ham, which is good to see. So you know what? Come on, Antonio.
Interesting. I've let you have anyone from the Premier League, and we've gone for Zaha and Antonio. Excellent players, no doubt about it. But I mean, you could have had De Bruyne, you could have had Mo Salah, arguably the best player in the world right now. I'm trying to be a bit. So we've had McKenna talking about young, hungry, technical, athletic players. There was a lot of talk about athleticism from Andy Rolls and McKenna. So in the spirit of that, I mean, the obvious answer for me would be Mo Salah, because I think he's just the best in the world right now. But I'd probably go, if we're going to go down that sort of young, hungry route that fits in with everything that McKenna's talking about, Foden. Although Declan Rice would be pushing it for me as well. But I think I'll save my central midfielder for from a lower division, Foden or Saka or someone like that. But Foden would be the one for me.
Can I change mine, actually? I have Diogo Jota? He's a good player. He's a really good player. I like watching him play. He scores a lot of headers, even though he's not that tall. He scores a lot of headers. So, yeah, a big fan of his.
He does look like a baller, doesn't he? He looks like he's been at Liverpool his life already. Championship. Who are you taking from the champ? There's an obvious answer here in terms of goal scorer, but depends if you've already taken your striker from the Prem or not. Anyone that springs to mind?
Ooh. What's the guy from Blackburn? Ben Bremerton. That's probably completely said it wrong. Who's now Chilean.
Brereton Diaz, who has suddenly turned into an absolute baller since deciding to become Chilean overnight. Yeah. Mike's looking blankly. Go on.
Scott Twine. There you go.
That's League One.
Oh, is it?
We've jumped to League One already, but I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Can I take him then?
You can take him, yeah. We've got a League
he's
One
MK
pick in
Dons,
there
isn't
as
he?
well.
Oh,
he
yeah.
is, yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're in Championship. Right. I would possibly go in the Championship. Well, the Fulham striker, Adrian Hadovinovic.
Oh, yeah. Adrian Hadovinovic.
Yeah,
That guy.
yeah. He's got about 50 goals this season, that bloke. Fantastic
He
player.
has, yeah. I don't actually know what he's on at the moment, but it's a lot of goals. It's the most anyone's ever scored in the Championship. Ross, I think, is looking it up there. You're taking Mitrovic from Fulham.
That's the one. But I would actually take Scott Twine because I think he'll be in the Championship next season when MK Dons win the playoffs. See, that was my logic, Stu.
Okay.
I know you poo-pooed it when I first mentioned it, and almost laughed. Almost laughed, the pair of you, because you thought I was in the wrong league. But you see, I was thinking next season.
We've got all your answers. Good. I like it. We've got Zaha, Mitrovic, and Scott Twine.
And Matt Nottingham.
There. Michael Nottingham, who you've decided the big 32-year-old Accrington centre half, who you've decided is going to play centre mid next season.
That's the one. I like him.
Okay, we'll get him in as well. Ross, Championship League One, who are you chucking in?
Championship, it's got to be Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest. He's going to be a Premier League player next season. But he's been unreal. And of course, David Johnson's son. He's been fantastic. I think I'm now looking up how many goals. 11 goals this season, 6 assists. He's still such a young player. He's gonna be unreal. I look forward to him. And of course, bring back Finn Downs because why not?
Yes. Those are the exact 2 names that I've got written down here, Ross. Brennan Johnson, I think, fits in with everything that McKenna's talked about in terms of profile of player. Leeds have been looking at him, or been tracking him for a long, long time. And I think McKenna likes the way Leeds play. Flynn Downs is going to the Premier League this summer, no doubt about it. I think he's just taken his game to a whole new level at Swansea. I watched that Luke Wolfenden interview that Andy did and just felt, and Tristan Nydam as well. Andy flashed up that image of Wolfenden, Downs, Dazelle and Nydam all in that smiling and laughing ahead of that pre-season game against West Ham when all 4 of them played so well that day and they never played a minute together. There we go. Ross has just put up a picture of Wolfenden with McKenna, but makes me a little bit sad that it did. There we go. There's the picture. Makes me a bit sad that those 4 didn't happen for them at Ipswich together for one reason or another. So yeah, in this scenario, maybe we'll get Flynn Downs back and get the Downs-Morty partnership that would tear up League One. One other I thought about, Rob Dickey at QPR. We want some more set piece goals. He gets up and scores plenty from set pieces, but we don't really need to improve the defence, I think, in this fantasy scenario. League One, you've mentioned Twine. I've got a couple of names written down. Dapo Afolayan at Bolton. If we're look to strengthen that left side, he absolutely terrorised Ipswich earlier in the season. But mine would be Dan Bartlaser at Rotherham. He's the best. He's the best player in the division for my money. I'd have him letting Morsey bomb on and Barlaser can sit in front of the back 3 and just spray passes for fun and put some really good set pieces into the box as well, which obviously Ipswich need. Ross, any League One contenders for you?
Michael Nottingham.
I don't think he's on. Yeah. He's. To be fair, I've liked him when I've seen him play. I've liked him. I'm trying to think now positions I need. We need left-sided, don't we? Who's a good left-sided player in League One? I should know this, really. I don't know on top of my head, to be fair. I do like Cameron Brannigan at Oxford United, but that's another midfielder, and we've already got that. But if we need someone to score penalties, he's the man to do that.
Nice. Yeah. Brannigan's a player that I think a lot of clubs are going to be after in the summer, isn't he? Good. Right, there endeth mailbag. I think we better have a little chat about the game on Saturday, Mike.
Yeah, Cambridge United, isn't it, at home on Saturday? And we keep saying they're all must wins, but they are all must wins. Let's be honest. I fancy us to win on Saturday. I really do. I think the crowd sound like it's going to be amazing again, and I think that's the players are starting to buy into that. And I know Cambridge, we're 2-0 up, weren't we, at the Abbey Stadium, and ended 2-2 early in the season, but this is a different Ipswich team now, isn't it? And Look, I'm just. Do you want predictions, Stu, or are we just going to just talk about?
Well, let's hold fire on that till the very end. But let's talk about this. Cambridge are 16th in League One. They've done pretty well since coming up. They beat Newcastle in the FA Cup, of course. They beat Plymouth last month, and they won 1-0 at Wimbledon on Saturday. But only in the last few weeks, they've lost 6-0 at Sheffield Wednesday. They've lost 3-0 at Wickham. They've lost 4-2 at Oxford. Ipswich have to win at least 5 of their final 6. One of them has to be this weekend at home, doesn't it? We are. I know we've talked a lot about sort of win or bust and all of that, but we really, really are at that stage now. This is must win, isn't it?
Yeah. Roscoe?
Yeah, I think we were all couldn't believe our eyes when we saw Cambridge score that late equaliser, being 2-0 up. Unbelievable day. You know, that away end was full. Sonia Luco with the 2 goals. And then, Joe Ironside scoring that last-minute equaliser. And, a lot of Town fans were not happy that day. Of course, that wasn't the first time losing a 2-goal lead. But Cambridge, they've got another young manager in Mark Bonner. He's only 36 years old, and a great story for him. You know, he's a Cambridge fan, came through the youth ranks of their academy, and he got promoted to League One, which is fantastic. And it's mad to think we've only ever played Cambridge 6 times in our history in a competitive fixtures, and we've only ever, we've never beaten them in a league competitive fixture. It's been in like cup games, but no, it's going to be a good occasion against Cambridge. You know, that is for Cambridge is a derby. For us, it's just they're up the A14 up there. But no, it should be a very interesting game. Of course, we've got a few caveats in terms of Jack Lancaster return and Paul Digby, who had a brief spell at Town. He got the captain armband. So it will be an interesting encounter. 2 young coaches facing off.
About time Wes Houlihan suffered a defeat against Ipswich as well, isn't it? I think he sort of dips in and out of their team. I think it's probably time for him to rotate back into the team, looking at their last few lineups. I tell you what also makes it must win is looking at the fixtures elsewhere this weekend. It's Plymouth v Oxford. I think we probably want a Plymouth win in that one because Plymouth are 10 points clear in 4th. I think they're gone. So we need Oxford probably to drop the points in that game. And then all of the other teams that Ipswich are trying to catch are at home in very winnable games. Wickham at home to Doncaster, Wednesday are at home to Wimbledon, and Sunderland are at home to Gillingham. So that's not a set of fixtures that you're looking at thinking, there could be some drop points elsewhere this weekend. So a must-win game. Before we get on to predictions, should we spend some more of Andy Warren's fictional money for £1 million picks? I have no idea what the pot stands at the moment. I think it was roughly about 500k. Last weekend, between the 3 of us, we managed to lose 150, but we don't know what Andy's 50 on Morsey to score at any time is. I'll let Andy do the maths when he returns. But we've still got a fair bit to play with there. But should we just hand out 50k again each?
Well, I wanted 100k, obviously, but we had this argument last week. You wouldn't let me have 100, so I've got to have 50. Yeah, so yes, I'll take 50.
The listeners are now starting to see what it's like negotiating Mike's appearance fee for each of these. He just wants more all the time. It's ridiculous. Have you not seen the world that we're living in at the moment? Money's tight, Mike. We can't give you 100k. You can have 50.
I'll take 50. I'll take 50. I understand. That's fine.
Go on then. Where's your 50k going? Because this might give us an idea of the predictions to come.
Okay, right. My 50k this week is going on. My 50k this week is going on 3 goals. There'll be 3 goals in this game. That's all I'm going to say. 3 goals. What is it? 3 goals or less, or 3 goals? It's got to be 3 goals or more. Sorry, 3 goals or more.
It can be whatever you like.
I will say 3 goals or more to be at least 3 goals in this game on Saturday. 50k.
The bookmakers would call it 2.5 goals or more. I don't know why they do that, but yes, 3 goals. 3 goals or more in any which way they come. That is your bet. Can I take your score prediction as well?
Yes, you can. It will be 4-0.
Okay.
To Ipswich, obviously.
Before
you ask.
Ross,
so I don't know why I've gone for 3 goals or more when I've said 4-0. Do you? That doesn't. Well,
just hedging your bets a little bit, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Hedging your bets. That's a good one, Stu. Well done.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Ross, where's your money going?
I don't know how big the odds will be. Like, clean sheet is an easy bet, isn't it? Because at the moment we're getting clean sheets galore. I'm just looking at Cambridge's last few fixtures, and against the top 10 teams, they got absolutely, well, I was about to say a rude word there. They got thrashed 6-0 by Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. So they do concede goals. I'm going to put an easy bet, just clean sheet. 5k on a clean sheet.
50k on a clean sheet.
50k on a clean sheet. Is that all you can think of? 50k on a clean sheet.
Okay, clean sheet and do you know what? Come on, Luke Wolforden, score a goal.
Yes.
Score a goal.
Yes.
Or Cam Burgess. Burgess, yeah. Burgess a score and a clean sheet.
Beautiful.
From a set piece, is this?
It can be a set piece, or he could just.
Yeah, it's most likely, isn't it? There was quite a lot of chat about set pieces at the fans forum on Tuesday night. Kieran McKenna was quizzed about it, and he said, "You're absolutely right to bring it up. We haven't scored one for, I think he said 16 games. I think looking back, I think it might be a little bit longer, actually. I don't think they've scored from one under McKenna. I think we're going back to Wigan away when Norwood scored. And he said it's virtually impossible to get promoted out of this division with that sort of set-piece record, and it's something we are working on. But yeah, Burgess, Wolfenden's got on the end of a few. Burgess should be a threat there. So what? Just to nail you down, Ross, what is the overall bet? Are we going 50k on Ipswich to keep a clean sheet?
Clean sheet. Win the game, because a clean sheet can also mean 0-0, which I think will happen. So win, clean sheet, and Burgess to score.
We'll wrap all that up into one single bet. Okay, fine. Someone's going to have to work all this out. And Andy can sort all this out, work out the odds afterwards. We keep talking about Ipswich someone's going to take a good beating off Ipswich soon. I think it might be Cambridge, looking at those defeats that they've had on the road recently. I'm going to go for a very specific bet. Ipswich to win 3-0 and Bursant Selina to be among the goal scorers. There you go.
Good.
So that's my prediction. Must win. We've all got them down for a win. Happy days.
Happy
right.
Days.
Mike, you've got some I's to dot and some T's to cross. We've got sponsors to mention. And I think we need...
Well, there's a few things. We firstly need to mention before I talk about sponsors, Stu Pop, which of course I always forget to do. And thank you very much for bringing that up. Of course, the big women's game on Sunday, Ipswich women against Southampton. Ross, you know all about this, and we said we give the ladies a mention because it's a massive game. Go on then, Ross. What does it actually mean in the grand scheme of the league table and everything else? Ipswich versus Southampton.
It is pretty much the title decider, really, if you really think about it. Southampton played last night on Wednesday. They beat Crawley Wasps 3-0, and they've still got 2 games in hand. Currently, it's 54 points, Ipswich Town, Southampton 50 points. So they've got 2 games in hand. But if we win, you've got to say that is the title pretty much decided, and we've just got to win the rest of the games. And Southampton, they can win all their games, but they won't be able to catch us up. So it's a massive game at the Gold Star, 2 p.m. kickoff in the league. You can also, of course, listen to another podcast on the Kings Anglia feed, Track the Girls Talk, with Blue Wilson, the captain, and Eva Hubbard, a defender, who scored her first goal on the weekend. So she's pretty happy. I don't know if she should claim it because it was a massive, massive deflection, but she's claiming it after 73 games. But no, get down there if you're free. Enjoy it. It will be a very good game indeed. Southampton, a good side. It's going to be a belting game.
Is it Eva? You say Eva Hubbard?
Yes.
That's your goal, Eva. That is your goal. Don't you let anybody try and take that away from you. No, fantastic. Right, yes, good luck to the ladies. Fantastic. Be a great game down there on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m, Gold Star down at Fleecer. You could go down. I mean, if the weather's like it is now, you could go down the front and have an ice cream first and then go watch the ladies. That'd be fantastic. I mean, the weather's just appropriate now for ice creams. Anyway, so look, I hope you enjoyed the Kings of Anglia podcast. I'm Mike Bacon, Laporte, whatever. And well, look, don't forget Manscaped. Manscaped.com for all your hairy bits that you need trimming up. I don't know if I'm going to do this very well, but anyway, if you do go Manscaped, you got weed backers and ear things, and you just trim your stuff up, and 20% off if you go KOA when you go to Manscaped. I went only after I told everyone last week about my troublesome ear with hairs in. I went straight onto a Manscaped and bought myself a little thing that trims the ears up. Stu, I don't know if you did the same with because you had a little trouble your nose, you were saying only in the last pod.
No, I still haven't done that, but I will get on there and buy one because
exactly, and it's 20%. It's 20% off with KOA code. Roscoe, you look like you do a damn good trim completely. I don't know if Manscaped actually got the tools to help you, but anyway, that's by the by. Look, I'm Mike Vegas. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stuart Watson's been with us, and Roscoe Ross Halls. You can catch him at Portman Road on Saturday. Keep up to date with all our stuff on our websites and online, and of course our newspapers, the ADT and Ipswich Star. If you fancy a good read of a newspaper, why not? Nothing better than having a bit of a nice newspaper in your hand. And well, look. Good luck to Ipswich Town. Let's hope it stops snowing. Don't forget to cover your tomatoes, and we'll see you soon.